Proiect susținut de Pepe. La fel de bun. Acum cu un nou look.
Doamnelor, domnilor, bună seara și bun găsit la o nouă ediție a interviurilor Brașov.net de vorbă despre tine. Discutăm astăzi despre urși pe care am început să-i întâlnim din ce în ce mai des în zonele populate de oameni. Pentru că par să nu se mai teamă de nimeni și de nimic, sălbăticiunile au devenit un real pericol atât pentru noi, cât și pentru gospodarii care își găsesc culturile distruse și animalele sfâșiate. Iar problema cea mai mare este că am început să numărăm și din ce în ce mai multe victime omenești. Ce se poate face astfel încât să protejăm atât oamenii, dar și specia, ne spune consultantul pe probleme de biodiversitate al Uniunii Europene, domnul Hervé Lethier. Good evening and thank you very much for taking your time to join us tonight.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Pleasure to me.
The subject we are having tonight, it's not a very happy one. Probably you already know that we are having a problem with bears nowadays. And almost every day we hear about them coming down from the forest looking for food. And the bad thing is that some of the people are also feeding them for taking a good Instagram picture. What do you think that is to be done? Because the only natural enemy the bear has is the human.
Well, I would say it's a very complex situation and problems because there are 8 species of bear worldwide, and each species has the same behavior. You know, maybe dangerous. It's a wild animal. It's a huge animal. So when you come closer from a human, you can have incidents or accidents with them. In the case of Romania, I've been in Romania for the first time in 1979, so I know a little bit your country for more than 50 years or 40 years, yes. What can I tell you? I can tell you that because the problem is complex, the solution will not be very simple too. You have a mixture of concerns in Romania coming from forest management, from food capacity for the bear, from public acceptance as well, from game management. And each categories of stakeholders should and must participate in finding the best solution for you and for the bear. Because a bear, as you said, the main problem currently in Romania is feeding the bear, and the bear which is fed is in the mid or long term a bear dead, because it's not a natural and usual situation. You know, feeding the bear must be absolutely prohibited, and the regulation should be enforced totally, very strictly. In some states in the United States, if you feed the bear, you can go to jail because it's absolutely forbidden. We know that for years feeding the bear is a disaster, and it will lead to put the species in danger locally in Brașov or everywhere. I remember 20 or 30 years ago in Brașov, the people used to go at night or late evening on the weekend with their children to the garbage and feed the bear and see the bear in the street. It was stopped. But now the bear is coming back because the forests are more and more people in the forest, more and more pressure, more and more noise, disturbances, and so the integrity of the forest is degrading, and of course this big animal is looking for food, but also for quiet wherever he can. And he comes now. I've seen this video from your country recently showing a sow with 4 cubs in the street of a town. It's absolutely not usual and not wishable, I would say. So for me, coming back to the source, the foresters, the hunters, and the public should work together to find a solution to minimize this risk, because as long as you will have wild animals somewhere, you will always have a certain level of risk, but this risk must be acceptable, and part of the responsibility comes from everyone, not only from hunters, from foresters, or from the public.
Do you know if other countries have the same problem, and how do they handle it?
Of course, they had the same problem in the United States in the 50s and in the 60s, and they stopped feeding the bears. At that time, they organized big fair and event in national parks, where the people, the tourists, could visit the park and see the bear coming for feeding on some carcass, on some food, and it was stopped a few years later because it was too dangerous, and after a few several accidents, it was strictly forbidden to feed the bear. You can have the similar problem everywhere the bear is living, but it's not the fault or mistake from the bear. It's definitely a fault and a mistake from human.
Do you happen to know if we have too many bears here in Romania?
Well, there is no response to this question. Too many, what does that mean? You have officially around 5,000 to 6,000 brown bears, and you have probably more in the long past. But situations, the human pressure was different, and there were less people in the forest and hiking on the weekend, or skiing in the backcountry in winter time. I remember to have seen a video from your country also a few weeks ago showing skiers on the slope with a bear tracing them behind. So that's exactly the same. The bear is not afraid of human. And if he comes too close from him, he can make damage. That will be every time, always the situation, as long as this bear will not find the best habitat and the best situation for him in the natural forest, in primeval forest, in forest which has a high level of integrity, and where forest management, game management are organized adequately for him.
Poli Pauza a venit! Fă-ți pauza adevărată cu Poli! Preferat de milioane de europeni din 1974, acum și în România.
Some say that cutting down the forests is the biggest problems because bears don't have any place to live anymore. Is this true? Did we cut too many trees, too many forests?
Well, it's a part of the problem, but if you live in Bangladesh or in some part of China, you will have problem with the tiger too, and in Sumatra you will face problem with tiger as well. And so, speaking of large animal, which spend their time to sleep or to breed or to eat, everywhere they are living, you will have a chance opportunity to meet them. And as long as their habitat will not be preserved properly, and they will not face the best ecosystem for staying quietly, but they can come closer and closer from human. And the tiger in China and the brown bear in Romania. We have the same trouble in Western Europe, in some places with the wolf or with the lynx, because those animals need large territories, high level of integrity of their habitat, and they need food. So if they don't find appropriate habitat, food, and quiet in their original ecosystem, they will look for them, seeking for them somewhere. And in your case, they will go down and find garbage, or be happy to meet people who will feed them, and it will be the start of the disaster.
Do you think relocation is a possibility? Can we relocate some of the bears to, other countries who don't have so many anymore, or?
Well, relocation has been experimented for long, especially in North America. The bear has what we call a behavior of homing. That means he comes back every time in the same place from where you have relocated him. So relocation is a part of the solution, of course, but it will be technically difficult and economically, financially costly too. And again, you must solve the problem at the source, not in downtown. You must find a solution to keep the bear in the wild and prevent him to come down in the center of the town.
These days there are talks about hunting. They say that it's the most easy and common way of solving the problem. Is it true?
Hunting like a forestry or like a public acceptance is a part of the solution. Probably that shooting a few bears among the 6,000 individuals you have will not affect bear demography. But I don't think that alone this authorization may be the solution. Because you can shoot the bear downtown, so you will shoot where? In the forest, but you will not prevent the bear to go down the town if you wish. You will not shoot the bear which is doing bad things in the core of the city. You will shoot a bear which can stay in the forest without any damage to anyone, to anything. So again, I think because situation is complex, the context is complex, the solution must be built together by all the stakeholders who are involved in bear management and conservation.
And again, hunting is a very sensitive subject nowadays here in Romania, especially after what happened with the bear Arthur. You probably are aware of this. And it's kind of a suicide for a politician to come out and say we need to put down, 1,000 bears or something. It's very sensitive, and the ecologists are very vocal. The public opinion is very vocal about this. But again, the victims are still coming, and it's indeed a very sensitive subject because I don't think there is one right answer.
There's no right answer, you're right. And I would say that the victim is not the human, the victim is the bear. And the bear is victim of bad behavior from the man. And again, feeding a bear downtown nearby Brașov or in another place of Romania is a very big mistake. And a part of the solution should start by a better enforcement of the strict regulation or fighting any behavior from human, facilitating this accident, I would say. So the capacity of the forest to support a bear population is also a central part of the problematic.
You say not to feed them downtown, but can we feed them in the forest?
Everywhere, I would say. And not only downtown, but everywhere. But start downtown, yes.
But if we put food in the forest?
No, forest. The problem is that even you don't feed the brown bear itself in the forest. There is a long tradition of hunting in Romania, and we know that hunters feed deer and other wild animals to shoot them, and to feed the deer will attract the bear as well. And this is really a big concern. I have visited most of the countries in Western and Eastern Europe. You have the same problem in Slovenia, in Croatia, in Bulgaria, everywhere. If the bear is fed, you will face such trouble. Even if it is not fed directly, it will find the apples, the grapes, or the corn you will put for feeding the deers, and that's the beginning of the disaster.
So you say it's better not to interact with them at all, because foresters put food in the forest, especially for the bears to stay in the forest and not to come downtown anymore. So they shouldn't do that anymore.
No, that means the capacity as the bear population is maybe too high, because as soon as you need to feed the bear in the forest, that means the forest do not have the capacity enough to carry the bear population. It becomes artificial, I would say, and we are not speaking of natural bear population in that case. That's the same for the deer. That's the same for the wild boar.
So it's not a long-term solution.
There is only a long-term solution, but again, if you wish to save the bear, you must start by not interacting, as you said, too much with him, and this interaction becomes as soon as you start to feed it.
If you were to come to Romania and, I don't know, going camping for a weekend in the forest, would you have the courage to do it?
Well, I used to do it every time I come to Romania. I've been probably more than 50 times in Romania. I did not have any trouble with a bear, any trouble with a lynx, with a wolf, with anyone. And I'm not afraid of camping in the forest if you know how to manage the bear. And it's also a question of education, of building capacity. You must know how to react if you have the opportunity, the chance of to meet a bear in the forest. And as long as you will react by feeding him, you will be in a bad situation.
So you have to make him run. Scare him.
But you can call him. I've met the bear hundreds, thousands of times in my life, very close to me. I've been even pushed by bears physically. But okay, every year there are people killed or injured by bears. There was someone last week in Japan, which was some people, 3 or 4 people injured by a black bear in north of Japan, and every year in the United States or in Canada, people meet a bear and they have some problem with them. Every year, the cougar in North America kill skiers and other people in the wild. You must understand that we are speaking of wild. We are speaking of a forest where people are living widely, I would say, and so as soon as you will not respect their wild anymore, you will establish a context, a situation which is artificial and that may open to some accidents, some disasters like those you are meeting currently in Romania. I mean, it's a role of the government and to discuss between forester, NGOs and hunters, and to agree on a common vision of how to protect the bear in the long term. And what do we do? Do we have to do if some problem arise?
Poli Pauza a venit! Fă-ți pauza adevărată cu Poli! Preferat de milioane de europeni din 1974, acum și în România.
And I also think that we are having a kind of emergency here, because if the authorities don't find a solution quickly, people will start to take this on their own and do like in the old times, going to the forest, killing the bears, bury them in the forest, nobody will know, I don't know, cook them. And I don't think this is a solution either. So has this been discussed at the European level? Do you happen to know if our authorities have asked for help, for a piece of advice or something? I'm
not aware of that. I'm not. I do not have the access to the government and never discuss with them, with your ministries or prime on that matter. And I think that, again, the solution will not come from Brussels. The solution should come from Bucharest, and it's typically a national issue to address at national level, and putting together all the stakeholders which are involved in the dossier, high in the political agenda, because it becomes an issue which is partly political, and this discussion should lead to a common vision of bear management in the future in Romania. And again, it's not only the hunter who will give you the solution, not only the forester, and certainly not the public. And NGOs will have part of it too, but as long as you will not agree all together around the same guidance, I would say, you may still meet such difficulties. We had a similar problem with bear again in countries like, even in France, where there are just a few bears roaming in the Pyrenees. They are a big mess sometimes politically, and so it's not a question of density of level of bear population. It's a question of common agreement on how you will you wish to address this dossier and find a series of, I would say, part solution.
Mr. Lethier, thank you very, very much for joining us tonight and for your answers.
It was useful for you, but if you can keep in mind that to respond to a complex problem, there is no one solution, but there is a complex solution to build up all together around the table.
Yeah, I understand. I hope the authorities will understand it too. Thank you again very, very much. Have a lovely evening ahead. Doamnelor, domnilor, atât pentru astăzi. Vă mulțumim frumos pentru atenție. O seară bună tuturor!
Proiect susținut de Pepe. La fel de bun. Acum cu un nou look.